Even though there are still no major changes in the theater of military operations in Ukraine, Russian troops continue to advance slowly in all directions of the front. According to war correspondents from both sides, the armed forces of Ukraine are on the defensive even in those sectors of the front, where a sufficiently large number of Ukrainian army personnel is still being recorded. At the same time, war correspondents note that the Ukrainian army, even despite numerous failures on the battlefield, is trying to carry out counterattacks in some areas of the front. In general, watching the articles of Ukrainian Telegram channels and military experts, one can notice a lack of optimism and also a statement of the fact that the armed forces of Ukraine continue to retreat, even though NATO countries supply all types of weapons to Ukraine almost in non-stop mode. The mood of Ukrainian Telegram channels and military experts was also spoiled by today's official statement by the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation. In particular, the Russian Defense Ministry officially confirmed that Russian troops had liberated the strategically important settlement of ZAGORNOYE, in the Zaporizhia direction of the front. In addition, the head of the press center of the grouping of troops under the designation Vostok, Lieutenant Colonel of the Russian Army, Oleg Chekhov, also officially stated that over the past 24 hours, in all directions of the front, the armed forces of Ukraine lost 1,500 soldiers, 2 tanks, 3 infantry fighting vehicles, 2 multiple launch rocket systems, 5 NOTA electronic warfare systems, and 20 artillery systems, including Polish Krab self-propelled guns. In addition, Russian troops also continue to advance in the South Donetsk direction of the front. It is reported that as of June 17, 2024, the Russian army completely took control of the area tightly adjacent to the village of Vuhledar. In addition, offensive units of Russian troops are also fighting on the eastern approaches of the Stroydel plant, near the coal mine named Sergei. Commenting on the situation in the South Donetsk direction, Ukrainian Telegram channels and experts called on the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, General Syrsky, to dislodge Russian troops from this section of the front as soon as possible, since the battalion of the 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine found itself in a real encirclement, in the area of the settlement of Vladimirovka, east of Vuhledar. This information was also confirmed by the official representative of the 105th Regiment of the People's Militia of the DPR. According to him, the Ukrainian troops were indeed surrounded near the village of Vladimirovka. Moreover, he also confirmed that Russian troops took under fire control all the supply routes of the armed forces of Ukraine in this sector of the front. At the same time, it is worth noting that war correspondents recognize that the Ukrainian troops, who were surrounded near the village of Vladimirovka, will very likely be captured or destroyed by artillery fire. According to them, General Syrsky perfectly understands the seriousness of the situation, but at the same time, he is not in a position to change anything, since there are practically no reserves left at his disposal. In general, war correspondents note that Ukrainian troops began to allow themselves to be encircled very often in certain sectors of the front. However, this time, near the settlement of Vladimirovka, a fairly large military unit of the armed forces of Ukraine was surrounded. And this fact became an alarming sign for the Ukrainian General Staff and the Kiev regime. Moreover, even the Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Ivan Gavrilyuk, began to make excuses to American journalists from The Washington Post for the fact that Ukrainian troops began to be surrounded too often. According to him, the armed forces of Ukraine are surrounded in certain sectors of the front only because the Russian army significantly outnumbers the Ukrainian troops in manpower. Ivan Gavrilyuk also warned the American journalists that soon the Ukrainian army would retreat along the entire combat contact line, and that this retreat was allegedly a new military strategy that would allow the armed forces of Ukraine to gain time and hold the front in the most strategically important areas. At the same time, it is worth noting that this statement by the Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine caused a negative reaction from Ukrainian military experts and analysts. They remind him that if the Ukrainian army retreats from Pokrovsk and Korokhov, the armed forces of Ukraine would have to build new defensive positions along the Dnieper River. Against this backdrop, many experts urge the Ukrainian authorities to accept Vladimir Putin's peace initiatives, in order not to lose even more territories, including Odessa and Nikolaev regions. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation officially announced the destruction of the next American multiple-launch rocket systems. In particular, we are talking about the M142 HIMARS and M270 MLRS. Unfortunately, as always, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation did not provide details of this operation. However, sources in the Russian military department stated that these American multiple-launch rocket systems were destroyed by the troops of the Dnieper grouping, in the Kakhovsky direction of the front, near the settlement of Dobraya Nadia. Moreover, representatives of the Russian military department also confirmed that along with these multiple-launch rocket systems, 5 U.S. Army officers, who directly controlled these missile complexes, were also destroyed. Meanwhile, retired Lieutenant Colonel of the Luhansk People's Republic, Andrei Marachko, said that on the night of June 15, the Russian army launched a successful bomb strike at the place of temporary deployment of units of the Ukrainian army and foreign mercenaries, in the Kharkiv region. According to him, on the eve, the Russian command received information from its confidential informants that in the village of Bogayevka, southeast of Kharkiv, there is a secret place of temporary deployment of units of the Ukrainian army and foreign mercenaries. After that, a reconnaissance drone was sent to the area. A few minutes later, the drone confirmed the words of the informants. And just a couple of minutes later, a crushing blow was struck at this place with the help of guided aerial bombs of the Fab family. It is reported that as a result of this strike, about 60 Ukrainian soldiers and about 30 foreign mercenaries were killed. They were mostly citizens of France, Georgia, Poland, and the United States.